Namaste, I'm Jaya Palashri. This is the first time I'm doing a live, something different, out in the nature. And I would love to hear what you all have to say. And we'd like to see more of me out, not sitting on my table and doing a live. Do let me know. And accordingly, I will do my live, depending on what you all are going to tell me. So, in my last session, I spoke about the lessons I learned in life and I spoke about going with the flow. Speaking further about going with the flow and what I have learned with it, I have a beautiful example that I would like to give or share with you. I was out with my family on a holiday and we went on a boat to see the falls. So they took us right close to the falls. And as the water was cascading down, the boat was going closer and closer. This is something, firstly, I'm not a person who feels very confident to be in a boat. Yes, I do give a lot of talk on going with the flow and doing things like that. That's part of life. But nevertheless, I don't like to get into things where I'm not comfortable. So now I'm in the boat. First thing, I'm not comfortable. Second, we're going closer and closer to the thing, and I'm getting scared where the boat's going to capsize, because with the force of the gush of the waterfall, the current of it, where chances of the boat capsizing. I'm sure the captain of the boat knew what he was doing. He was confident. He knew how to take the boat, but I was not confident because I don't know. So it was a beautiful example. I had to battle with my thoughts. And when we started going closer and closer, I almost screamed because I was scared of the boat capsizing. At that moment, a flash of thought that came to me was, didn't I speak of going with the flow? And how beautiful is nature? I'm actually sitting for the apt example of going with the flow. After thinking about that, and we went in with the flow, it was beautiful. I was sitting and watching this guy, the way he was handling the boat. At one point, he just let go of the steering, and we could see the boat turn. And as the boat, it went with the current and it started moving. So it's not like he fought the current. It's not like we went against the current. It's not like we did something which was not right. But it was about how we went and how we took the turn. That was a beautiful example. And that is the example that we need to think about and be with. When you go with the flow and when you are moving with the currents, it's amazing to see how we are able to come out of a situation and not fight it. It's all about staying afloat. It's all about going with the flow and not getting stuck. If we had to fight it, if we had to push it, or if we had to go do something against what the currents were at it, it would have been so difficult for us. We would have not been able to manage, and maybe the boat would have capsized, actually. This was a beautiful example, and I wanted to touch base with my previous episode and given this example too, and say how important it is to go with the flow. And also, as I speak about going with the flow, I want to speak about, we do put expectations. We do have various thoughts in our mind, and sometimes things don't happen as per what we want. Yes, expectation leads to hurt. So a lot of things are interlinked, and we have one thing connected to the other. But at the same time, it doesn't mean to say that you can't stay connected or move with the flow or do something. When you have expectations, when things don't happen as per what you want, it's natural to get hurt. So when you get hurt, we tend to resist. We tend not to do what we want to do. We want to move away. We shy away from whatever's being said. So I would again go back and affirm on the statement of going with the flow. When you're going with the flow and when some things don't happen, you just accept it and move forward and not fall back or get into any zone. Okay, we spoke about going with the flow. What is the other lessons? Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is so essential, and I think I can speak on and on and on about it, how essential and important it is. Sometimes we get into these spaces where we think that, oh, you know what, I don't need to think, or it's okay, never mind. So, like I said, everything is interlinked. Yes, now you're going with the flow and you need to set boundaries. With who do you set boundaries? Is it with unknown people or is it with known people? Is it with loved ones or is it with acquaintances? Boundaries are set with everybody, even with your loved ones. There has to be a space. There has to be a limit. When you're not in the limit, when you're not in the space, that is where the issues come in. So when you set boundaries, you know that you're not going to get hurt. When you have expectations, you get hurt. Expectations are bound to be there. At the same time, when you have boundaries, when some things don't happen as per what you wanted to happen, it's absolutely okay. You're not going to be bothered. You're not going to say, oh, you know what, this person didn't do this or it didn't happen. You're going to be like, fine, it's fine. So setting boundaries is important. Now, when you set boundaries, you don't set boundaries to the extent that you're not able to sustain. You're not able to even, you become lonely in your space. But you set boundaries in a way. At times you can bring it down or collapse it, but at the same time you can bring it up when it's needed. Should there be boundaries between a couple? Yes, there should be limits. You need to know what's your limit and space. You have to respect each other no matter what. It's irrelevant whether only one of you are working and the other one is not. It's irrelevant of what if one person is successful and the other person is not. But you need to respect and love each other. Boundaries come in from there. Boundaries come in with trust, with respect and love. When you love somebody, you're going to accept their space and set boundaries so that you don't hurt them and you don't get into their space. It's very difficult, especially in a family where, it's a husband and wife or children. It's very difficult to set boundaries. It's very difficult to say, this is my boundary and I'm going to stay in this and that's yours. No, we kind of overstep, we get into it. But the point comes is, you are able to sustain and not, create havoc or be a bull in the china shop. How you set boundaries and what you do with it is very important. So now I'm talking about setting boundaries. A beautiful example is in any kind of a relationship. When you set boundaries, you start respecting for whatever the person says. So if somebody says, you know what, I'm not happy with this, I'm not comfortable with this, you are absolutely okay with it and you're ready to give that person that space and say, okay, whenever you're ready, you come and I'm here waiting for you. So setting boundaries is important. I spoke about going with the flow. Now I'm speaking about setting boundaries. I will speak more about setting with boundaries soon, but I'm going to end this right now because I just thought that I'd come into nature and I'm just worn a sweater, but it's bitterly cold and I'm freezing. So I'm going to cut this video and I'm going to start another session soon, maybe later in the day or tomorrow. And I'm going to speak about boundaries and how important it is and the lessons I have learned with setting boundaries. I thank you so much. And up until the next video, have a lovely day and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Namaste.